can pull up, reviews from people. You can pull up average pricing. I think on Vivino you can do average pricing. I can't remember if Delectable you do or not. And then there are also options to buy on there and that kind of thing, because people sometimes will be like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to buy this, or they see it's cheaper or whatever else. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Delectable, I think, has a little bit more of a sense of wine community behind it, because Vivino is really an app driven by their reviews and whatever else, but they also have a very robust advertising and basically like advertising package where us as a retailer can get on there and list our wines and market to people, whereas Delectable is very, very tight in how they source their stuff. They do sell, but they got to come to you. We've sold through Delectable once, but it's because they came to us looking for a very specific wine that we carried, and that was exciting. But it's more of a community than anything else surrounding Delectable, I think, where you join and then somebody else joins, and like, oh, you have a friend request. It's kind of almost like a social media integration type thing, and you don't get that as much with the Vino.
And how do you choose what wines you sell?
Us?
Yes.
We have one primary supplier that we work with. And I think that a lot of times, one thing I'm seeing, which is interesting to me, is this whole concept of, Club W's doing it. And I think that you see a lot of other wine clubs do it, cut out the middleman, get wine straight from the winery. It's not more expensive. And it's true, but not true. I mean, you have to move. If you think about it, really, we work with the wholesaler who helps us pick out our wine, and he's great. Basically, our portfolio or our store carries completely estate bottled wine system out. And by estate bottled, I mean that they come from, small production vineyards around the world. And, they're producing only a couple thousand cases a lot of times. And so it's not like huge mass produced quantities. And what you end up getting is the people are super invested in that process and, they've been historical winemakers for a very long time. They care about what they're doing. They care about the land that they're developing it on. And it shows through in the wine. We've never really carried anything bad that I can think of. And everything that we bring in, we try before we bring it in. So we're very cautious about how we put stuff on our shelves. If we try something and we're like, this is not very good. And it's also relative. If we try a wine and we know it's going to be a $5 bottle of wine, we're a little less selective with that. It's still got to be good, but we wouldn't be like, oh no, this has got awful for $5. You keep your expectations in line with what you're paying, but things got to be drinkable. So. And
do you have a special shelf on your store, like $10 and less or $20 and less wines?
Yeah, so we have actually two different kind of distinctions. We have, in the center of our store, we have all the wines for $10 or less. And then online, obviously, you can sort by price and everything else, and that's a pretty standard feature, so that's easy enough to sort out. And then we also have a little shelf area, basically, where we carry all of the, I would call them high-end, I guess. And we don't have anything crazy, nothing in our stores over $100, but more of our high-end type stuff.
Okay. All right. And so can you sell wine online?
Yeah.
How does that work? How do you verify age and such?
So UPS has been great working with retailers on that. And UPS and FedEx both have contracts where they set up these very specific requirements. And there are only certain states you can ship to depending on what state you're in. For us, there are only a couple that we can actually send out to. But basically, what they do is when they do a delivery, they verify the person's age by requiring a signature and an ID on the delivery. So, where normally UPS, you order something, they drop it off, and you just find it, and it's sitting there. When they do a wine delivery, you have to sign for it, and they have to verify your age before they do it. So you have to be home, which is kind of good, but also can create a challenge for people that are ordering wine online. And so you see a lot of times they'll get it shipped to work or wherever else too.
Okay. And
which
then
actually is cheaper for them, or it should be.
it is?
I think so.
That's awesome. That's a tip that everyone should write down right now. Your website, your web address is vinovinonline.com, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and I will share that with the masses. In this article, it says knowledge is power. Whether it's the grape variety or the compelling story behind a winemaker or region, millennials want to learn. So marketers are providing more information about exactly what's in the bottle. Millennials also love to share information, which makes them an even more appealing demographic because they spread the word. Have you noticed that change over the last, I don't know, you must have had an eye on the wine industry before jumping into owning a store, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I fit in the millennial demographic, so I think that even a lot of that fits me, where I was super interested in learning about what I was drinking, and that's what led me into the industry in the first place. I was super interested in learning about what I was drinking and what is this, where does it come from? You know, why is a Bordeaux called a Bordeaux, but it's made from, you know, Merlot and Cabernet and Petit Verdot and, you know, whatever else. And to me, that was really interesting, and I wanted to know more. And, you know, so you go on and you read stuff about it and whatever else. And that's why content marketing for these, you know, wine bloggers online, and even on our site, we do, you know, a decent amount of content because people are engaged with it. It's important. You know, in online marketplaces now, content is everything. If you don't have good content, people don't really have a reason to go to your store because, you know, what are they really going there for? I mean, yeah, you can go and you can click a button and you can buy online, but you can do that with Amazon or a million other places now too. It's not like exclusive.
Right.
So what sets you apart?
It is all about the story. All right. Well, is there anything else that you can add when it comes to buying wine? When I walk into my local store, what do I need to prepare before walking in?
So I think a couple things. Not everyone pairs wine with food, but if you're looking for a specific wine to pair with a meal, you should definitely keep that in the back of your mind and be able to tell somebody in the store, hey, I'm cooking beef. You know, what should I get? You know, one of the other things, you know, you kind of hit the nail on that as far as price point is that you don't really know, I guess, until you try it. If places do tastings or if they'll taste you on a wine before you can buy it, that's always a plus. You know, and I do that a lot with people when they come in because you don't really know. You have an idea of what your tastes are. You know that you like a Moscato, which means that you'll probably also like a Riesling. You know, because Riesling's kind of on the sweet side too. But beyond that, there's this plethora of different things that you can get into. You know, with white wine can be dry, it can be sweet, it can be full bodied like a red, or it can be super light. You know, on the red side, you can also have a very light red where people always think about reds as being heavier, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, so it really is just contingent on what do you like? What are you into? You know, and make sure that you're getting something that aligns with that. You know, two Cabernets are also not created equal, and two vintages are not created equal. You know, you take something, I'm not going to name the name of the wine because I don't want to get into trouble,
right.
But I was talking to one of the other guys we work with yesterday when we were talking about the 2012 versus 2013 vintage of a particular Cabernet. And it made us sound very snooty, which I just kind of laugh at now because it's really, when you get into it, you like learning about it and you like talking about it and you like trying wine. It's not snooty as much as just another way of another preference. I'm not judging anyone that doesn't necessarily know about that or share the same opinion. But we were talking about the 2012 vintage and we were like, yeah, that was like a lot better. The 2013 is just fruit and like wood, and that's it. And we were just surprised that from the exact same producer, only 1 year apart, this wine was so dramatically different. And so that kind of thing can happen too.
Can it be weather? Like different factors could determine why that would be, correct? Yeah,
weather is a huge factor. I mean, you have stuff, if you look back, Bordeaux is a really interesting one to read about because Bordeaux is like just, you know, so famous that you can go through and you can look through vintages for the last, 100 years almost. And they'll talk about differences in the harvest that year, talk about differences. Like I think there was a streak in the 80s or 90s where they were producing good stuff, and then all of a sudden they just had a couple of really bad harvests a few years in a row, and just everything in the vintage, people were like, yeah, this is not so great. And that's not like the wine producers were doing anything bad or really doing anything enormously different. It's just the end product they got, the fruit that they were getting from their vines, for whatever reason, was different because it had rained a lot more, or it rained less, or there was too much heat at a certain point, which, caused the grapes to ripen faster. It just depends.
You have a blog on your website. Are you the one that keeps that up?
I am more the tech guy.
Gotcha.
Rob, our partner, who probably should have talked to you more about the California cabs, and maybe we'll set that up.
Yes. But no, I think you did great.
Rob is the brains behind a lot of the wines. I'm learning a lot, but he's been in the restaurant and bar industry for 20 years. He is our go-to guy when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So
okay, all right. Excellent.
So he writes most of the content, and I take care of back end, programming. That website is built on Shopify, and it's a theme that you pick out, but we've done a lot of customization to it, and most of that was my doing.
Now, what is your all-time favorite wine right now? If you had to choose one wine to drink for the rest of the year, what would it be?
Backstory Chardonnay, probably.
Okay.
Although that would be tough. I wouldn't want to drink it in the winter. But right now, I drink it every couple of days.
So it's like a summertime.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Two Girls and a Bottle of Wine. We really focus on pop culture, what's happening in the world. I want to do some question and answer fun with you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Just to get to know Dan Decker a little bit more. All right. So first of all, are you from New York? Where did you come from? What's your mini biography? Ohio?
Cleveland, yep.
And what brought you to New York?
I was coaching college swimming.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
A little bit of a jump.
And how long have you been in New York?
5 years.
Do you love it, or do you want to eventually return?
I like it. The whole winter thing in the Northeast in general and Midwest is just, after 30 years of it gets a little rough.
You guys went through a very rough winter this last winter.
Oh, my God. Just feet. We had more snowfall last winter than we did this winter, actually, but it didn't snow here until January. And then when it started snowing, it just didn't stop for 2 months. It just, every day, just feet. Yeah. So it was kind of crazy.
So you've been in the wine business for 7 months. Does that mean that's when you bought your current store?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And what motivated you to get into that?
Just loved it. Thought it was cool. Thought it was interesting. Make a change,
Is it your only job?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what was the last movie that you went to?
Last movie I went to was Jurassic World.
That everyone's talking about that movie, and I haven't seen it. Give me a review. What did you think of that movie?
Oh my God! Well, for me, it was a very emotional moment. You grow up on Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah.
Our generation, we started out on Jurassic Park. I was a kid when that came out, and it was this crazy thing where, oh my God, the special effects were out of this world. They really brought these dinosaurs to life, and it was exciting and interesting and
a little scary as a kid.
Yeah, and the thing that was so cool about it though is you wondered for all those years after, you're what would the park have been like? And then they come out with this one. It's the park is actually open. They actually have people going there. They have all their dinosaurs. Everything's under control. And it's just this kind of really crazy moment where you're sitting there in the theater and you're oh my God, it's like this has come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was awesome though. Loved it. People, it's getting mixed bags. Some people I think are not as thrilled with some of the gimmicky stuff that maybe they threw in there at certain moments, but overall I thought it was great.
Now, when it comes to music, who are you listening to right now on replay?
I listen to Pandora a lot, and my station is either Mumford & Sons or One Republic.
Okay. What's going on in the news that's caught your eye recently?
Super downer, right? This whole thing, South Carolina. I mean, that's
right.
What we're talking about. And then there was that other crazy story about that woman in Washington, and She was pretending to be black, but wasn't black.
Right.
I don't know. That was kind of wild. I saw that, and I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, I'm not even getting into this. I don't know what's happening.
Right. Yes. So. I think her name's Rachel Dolezal.